1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. When I was a kid, I often felt powerless until I realized that nothing lasts forever. And what I mean by that is that the punishment would not last forever, or the spanking cannot last forever. And once I realized that, I was in control. And as a Scorpio sun with Pluto in my second house, but near the end of my second house, conjuncting my sun in the third house, basically I embody and I identify with this energy. So yes, when I realized that nothing lasts forever, that's when I took my power back. But then at the same time, I started not allowing myself to not completely enjoy life because, this good moment that I'm experiencing right now is not going to last forever. So because of that, I was that person that dwelled in the fact that this moment is going to come to an end instead of making the most of this moment and enjoying it to the fullest. See, Pluto in your astrological chart talks about basically the death and transformation of wherever it is in your natal chart. It represents the fact that there is going to constantly it represents the fact that there is going to be constant cycles of death and rebirth. And when I realized that life is a circle, and if you look at a circle, the letter O, the number 0, you realize that there is no ending and there is no beginning. So because the ending is the beginning, there is always a reason to celebrate. Now today, having, strong Pluto in my chart and fully understanding that energy, it's like I live in the moment. And at the same time, when something comes to an end, I'm excited because I know something new is going to come from that. So wherever Pluto is in your natal chart, it is important that you don't allow the fear of endings to cripple you and stop you from living your life. Instead, you want to live within that moment and live that moment to the fullest and know that whenever that thing comes to an end, something brand new has to start. It's like a tree that falls down. That tree compared to us is completely dead, but that tree is now giving life and fertilizing the soil for new things to come. Some of the negative aspects having to do with the sign Pluto is the need for control. Because wherever Pluto is in your natal chart, you're going to realize that you need to be in control of that area of your life because of fear of being powerless. And that is overall the negative aspect of Pluto, where we control and dominate each other over or because of the fear of being dominated by the other. So I will enslave you so that you don't enslave me. I will manipulate and control situations and take control and create a power dynamics to make sure that I win the race and you never are on top, where, I don't have to worry about feeling powerless. A good way to understand Pluto is by understanding it through the energy of Scorpio. So within Scorpio, like Pluto represents like the underworld and the things that are hidden behind closed doors. Sex is hidden behind closed doors. Things that are taboo is hidden behind closed doors. And the reason why we hide things behind closed doors is to maintain that power when it comes to that thing. And at the same time, avoid criticism from others. You know what I mean? Because if others come around and say, this isn't good to do, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, that's going to cause one to feel powerless. So yeah, Pluto energy has to do with feeling the need to maintain power and control. And through Scorpio energy, Pluto talks about like the occult, metaphysics, the unknown, things that, aren't accepted within our world. But then these are things that you can use to pretty much gain control. Like when it comes to magic and witchcraft and different things like that, a lot of people will use it in order to control others, to have power over their situation, because again, the biggest fear is being powerless. Like with Scorpios like to be in control of situations, not necessarily because they want to control other people, but they basically want to control how things will affect themselves. And I feel like a healthy Scorpio is a perfect, basically, embodiment of the Phoenix energy. The Phoenix is this beautiful bird that rises from the ashes, someone that allows the cycle of death and rebirth opposed to holding on. Like, I feel like holding on is what creates toxic energy, because life is all about chaos. Life is all about new beginnings and endings. And in order for us to have endings, we have to allow ourselves, in order for us to have new beginnings, we have to allow endings to happen. It is just like the caterpillar transforming into the butterfly. That is a perfect example of Pluto. Once it's lower, it's crawling on its belly and it's a caterpillar, it's restricted, there's not so much freedom. And then it transforms into the butterfly energy, where it's flying and it's free and it can come and go as it please. And wherever Pluto is in your natal chart, like, understand that the things that are going to come to an end are things that aren't built on strong and steady and stable foundations. So you should be happy that those things come to an end, so that there could be space for things that are going to last the test of time. Like an example, say you have Pluto in the 7th house, or even Scorpio in the 7th house, or Pluto in Libra. Basically, you're gonna find that your relationships are constantly ending. Like, you might make friends with this person out of nowhere, the friendship ends or whatever. But like your real friendships, the ones that are genuine, because that's another thing too with Scorpio energy. Like, as a Scorpio, I don't know how to phony kick it. Like, I can't kick it with you and pretend like I like you if I really don't like you. You know what I'm saying? So with Pluto energy, your relationships are going to constantly end if they're not real. But like, say if your relationships are legit and they're built on legit foundations, then what you would find instead is your relationship is constantly elevating and evolving to the next level. So you and your best friend or your partner might experience some challenging disagreement, but basically what happens is you guys, confront each other, express your feelings, and then after, you guys are on another level, because it's like you're able to understand each other better because of the discomfort that you experienced and allowed yourself to be in the moment and deal with what needed to be done. So that's the beauty of Pluto. It's like becoming one with the chaos and the fear and everything, and allowing things to transform. I also find interesting, what comes to mind as I'm talking that I think is interesting is that, like, say you wake up at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, at 2:30, 3 in the morning, at that witching hour. And you can tell that, there's a presence in the room or whatever. Instead of panicking and rejecting, just allow yourself to relax and be, and trust in your mind, knowing that everything is always happening for your greatest good. So with you just being and allowing nature to take its course, or allow whatever's present to just flow, you might find that you experience a download, or not even just a download, but you have an interesting encounter that leaves you with knowledge that you would have never had if you had fear what was happening around you. Like, Pluto energy also talks about like the thinning of the veil. And I mentioned in one of my videos, I think it's the video about male versus female, masculine energy versus feminine energy. And I mentioned how the reason why the veil is thin at around the witching hour, which I think is like between 2 and 4 in the morning or 3 and 4 in the morning. The reason why that veil is thin is because most of us are sleeping. And in order for our reality to be what it is, like we all have to be awake and basically projecting into this reality and in an agreement that it is actually what it is. So because of our collective projection and belief in this reality, it creates a thick veil or sphere where we are not able to acknowledge or be aware of the spirits and the spirits or the different entities or whatnot that is present amongst us. And that's why at the witching hour at 3 or 4 in the morning, you will wake up and you can sense that energy, because that energy is always present. It's when we go to sleep, which is a form of transformation. You go to sleep and then it's like you exit your body and you're experiencing that world. And then you wake up and you come back into this world. So I feel like that could also be looked at as going into the underworld when you go to sleep and you're experiencing the different realms, worlds, and reality. And you wake back up and you come into this one. So yeah, Pluto energy is all about the diving deep, like the Scorpion energy, diving deep into what's there. And if we allow ourselves to be honest wherever Pluto is in our natal chart, like a lot of depth and fulfilling rewards can come from being honest with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, say, for example, you have Pluto in Taurus or in your second house or whatnot. Basically, there's going to always be constant shifts and deaths and rebirths when it comes to your values and your financial situation. But if you're honest with yourself, you know yourself, and you learn from each situation, then it's like graduating in school as you climb up the ladder. It's like, yes, you're the freshman again because you're at the beginning of that new thing that you're doing, but you take you take what you've learned from the past and you bring it with you to the future, and you are a lot more aware of what's happening. You can add that value to not just be at the bottom, but like to grow faster in levels and just be, you won't be at the bottom for long. You'll constantly be growing and pretty much evolving because you learned from the past. So you learned from your past financial mistakes or decisions, and you bring them into your future and you apply them accordingly and you evolve quickly. So yeah, Pluto energy talks about death and rebirth. There has to be death in order for there to be birth. It talks about the need for control, and the reason why we control is because of our fear of powerlessness. I feel like Pluto in our natal chart is almost like represents like basically Pluto, Scorpio, whatever is in the 8th house. It represents, it's like the thing, it's like our weaknesses. And I feel like that's why we are so possessive over these things. And that's why we feel the need to control these things, because we put a lot of value on those things, and those things to us pretty much represents who we are. So because of that, we are private and possessive over those things. If it's in your money area, you're possessive and private over your money because that's what gives you your strength. If it's in your Cancer, your 4th house, you're possessive and private over your mother or your home and living situation. If it's in your 3rd house or Gemini, you're private and possessive over your siblings or over the information that you consume, because that is what makes you who you are. That's what strengthens you. Pluto has to do with getting like, tarot readings, psychic readings, and things like that. And a lot of the times we get those because we want to hold on to power. We want to know what the future holds so we can control our own destiny, so we can remain in control. So everything that has to do with Plutonian energy has to do with our need to be in control so that we don't feel powerless, so that we are never the prey. You know what I mean? So it's like we will dominate so we will never be dominated. We will want to know the future so that we will never, get caught out in the storm. But I feel like if anything, the most recent events in life should show us that we're never fully in control. And instead, it is best for us to be flexible like a palm tree in a storm and bend so we won't break. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.